Hello, this is Brentina Stankwich reporting for the Weather Analysis and Forecasting for Unit 12. When discussing my local weather station, PABE, or Bethel, I will be referring to my weather observations from Unit 3. The observation dates were from Tuesday, January 26, 2016, through Sunday, January 31st, 2016. The weather patterns across the state based on average temperatures are listed here by each station: Sandpoint, Bethel, Nome, and Fairbanks. The temperatures in Sandpoint were the highest across the state because of maritime influence and had ranged from 36 degrees Fahrenheit to 42 degrees Fahrenheit. In Bethel, the temperatures ranged from lows at 32 degrees Fahrenheit to highs of 38 degrees Fahrenheit. In Nome, they had temperatures from 18 degrees Fahrenheit to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And Fairbanks had the lowest temperatures across the state because of continental influences and had temperatures from as low as -1 degrees Fahrenheit to as high as 16 degrees Fahrenheit. The mean temperatures from January and February were much lower than I expected. Sandpoint had a mean temperature of 28 degrees Fahrenheit, Bethel at 7 degrees Fahrenheit, Nome at 6 degrees Fahrenheit, and Fairbanks at -7 degrees Fahrenheit. Looking at the weekly average temperatures for Sandpoint, Bethel, Nome, and Fairbanks, it looks like Sandpoint and Fairbanks had a steady trend, though it looks like the National Weather Service had recorded a slight increase for Sandpoint and a slight decrease for Fairbanks. For Bethel and Nome, it looks like there's a steady increase for both locations. The weather patterns across the state based on the weather maps, we have seen more low pressure systems than high pressure systems. Lows or cyclones feature sun and air and typically produce cloudy, rainy, or snowy weather. Hence, they are described as stormy weather systems. Starting on Tuesday, January 26, we see 4 low pressure systems across the map and at relatively close pressures, and they had remained into Thursday, January 28th. On Friday, there had been a low pressure systems all across the map. Saturday and Sunday, we had seen a high pressure system. Referring back to my Unit 3 weather observations, I had recorded warmer than usual temperatures. My average temperatures on Tuesday were at 36 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sky coverage was at 3/4 overcast with dark blue and gray clouds. Here you can see minimal cloud coverage. On Tuesday, the wind was at a 2 on the Beaufort scale. On Wednesday, it was about 28 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sky coverage was fully covered. Overcast, light blue and gray clouds. On the map here, we can see pretty heavy cloud cover. On this day, wind was at a 3 on the Beaufort scale. On Thursday, it was 26 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sky coverage was fully covered. Overcast with a high ceiling level with wind at a 3 on the Beaufort scale. On Friday, it was 27 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sky coverage was fully covered. Overcast with wind about a 1 on the Beaufort scale. On Saturday, it was 36 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sky coverage was 3/4 covered with altostratus clouds, and the wind was about a 1 on the Beaufort scale. On Tuesday, I had made an additional comment on my weather observation worksheet that it felt super warm or warmer than usual. On Wednesday and Thursday, I also made an additional comment on my weather observation worksheet that it felt much colder and windier than the weather on Tuesday. There had been minimal precipitation during this week, except on Wednesday we had light snow dusting, which looks pretty accurate with looking on the weather map. I would say Bethel's near here, and that's where we had snow. The forecasting methods that were summarized by Eric Stevens were as follows. The first forecasting method, persistence, is where weather conditions will continue to be unchanged. An example that Eric Stevens had given was one day, maybe it's cloudy, rainy, and foggy, and we could expect tomorrow to be the same. This method is only good at smaller periods of time because we know not to expect the weather in the summertime to be the same as in the wintertime. The second forecasting method is climatology, what is usually the normal each year, or as the Weather Studies defines it, a weather forecast is prepared for a particular day based on the type of weather that occurred on the same day in years past. This method would only be beneficial when you want to know the weather far a couple months from us, say about 6 months or later. The third forecasting method is the computer method, where the weather can be predicted by computer models. This method is only good as the equations are built and the formulas. And it was mentioned in the weather studies that it is very unlikely that computers could replace human observations. Which brings me to the last forecasting method, is the human forecasting method, where weather can be predicted by humans with experience. In Eric Stevens' lecture, he recalled to a time when an experienced weather observer had noticed the same weather system in 2004 that happened in 1976. This method would only be helpful depending on the level of experience the person has. For this week's worksheet, for the short amount of time we had observed, the persistence method was more accurate than climatology. And here, climatology is inaccurate or wrong. I know for Bethel, this winter has been really odd when compared to previous years. We didn't get as much snow as we normally would, and the temperatures were much higher than normal. So here's the Sunday's weather map. We can see there's a low pressure system here at 968 millibars and a high pressure at 1021 millibars. The average temperatures were much higher than the climatology because of this occluded front in the middle. Late in its life cycle, an extratropical cyclone moves into colder air and a front forms, known as a occluded front, or simply an occlusion. An occluded front forms when a faster moving cold front catches up to a slower moving warm front. If this occluded front had been positioned more easterly, Bethel temperatures could have been colder and the sky coverage looks like it would be thinner if this whole map was shifted to the right. That concludes my weather analysis and forecasting for the week of January 26, 2016 to January 31st, 2016. If you have any questions, you may contact me at bjsankwich@alaska.edu. Thank you for watching. Bye!